Loud. All right, I think we're recording. Jason, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Well, welcome everybody. Tonight is a special presentation of lowball offer case studies, a class that I am pretty excited about teaching, but I probably will never teach again. So it will be one of those types of classes that has a lot of good information, and I will have made the presentation pretty much all for naught because this will be the last time we're teaching it.
But James, don't we make all lowball offers on Nomad properties?
You'll have to wait and see.
Dun, dun, dun.
You'll have to wait and see. So basically, the recording will be up here for Nomads and want to watch it after the fact. Introduction. So who are you and where are you from? And what is the lowest offer below asking price you've ever made? Jason, what do you think?
Remember that experiment that I did a long time ago?
Let me pause you for one second. So people that are on, you guys can answer in the chat or the Q&A window. Let us know who you are and where you're from and what's the lowest offer below asking price you've ever made. All right, I'm sorry. Continue on with your story.
So it was something out of like a course or something that you had bought actually, and I took the idea and ran with it. But I bought like an absentee owner list or something like that for Logan County, Utah, and I did a mail merge, and I actually I did a mail merge to click to mail, I think it was, and I actually sent an offer to purchase.
Yeah.
So it was actually a contract that was mailed out, and the formula was again, this is a long time ago, but I think it might have been the 70% ARV formula is the offer I was making. So they were all lowball, and I sent like hundreds of them.
How many did you get back? How many replies?
Let's see. I got one call from the Logan Police Department because a senior citizen thought that it was a scam.
Yeah.
And called the police.
Yeah.
And then I did actually go out and look physically. I drove from Fort Collins to Logan and actually looked at 3 houses.
There were 3 people that called you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what that's based on. So the story what you're talking about is actually the book was Robert Sheeman's book.
Okay.
Unlimited Riches or something like that, and he talks about doing mailing out offers. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's where the book was.
Okay.
And I did a similar thing as well. I don't recommend doing it. It was not a good use of resources.
No.
But I mean, you had enough appointments. Did you end up buying any of the properties?
I did not.
Yeah, they were not good properties, not good fits.
The thing is I ended up not buying any of the 3, all for 3 completely different reasons, unrelated to the offer price or the. I had a structural engineer with me on each of the properties, and one of them was shot down by her. One had just massive other issues, and one just was in a bad neighborhood. So, yeah.
Okay, well there you go. There's some feedback. Andrew Cole says Fort Collins never actually lowballed an offer, and Elijah from Fort Collins $6K is
what?
Is 6K the amount under? Or is 6K the actual offer price on a property? And if so, how much was the property worth? That'd be interesting to find out. Oh, 6K under. Okay.
Oh, whew. I was like, I want a $6,000 house, and I'll bulldoze it and just keep it for the dirt.
Right. So this presentation tonight is a little bit different than normal. In most presentations, it's almost all PowerPoint. But tonight, I'm actually going to show you some stuff on my website, and I'm going to show you some interactive things. So we'll run through, and then at the end, there's going to be a whole bunch of MLS sheets to show you what the lowest properties that were lowballed, I think in the last year, I think is what I used. So I'll show you the top 20 or so MLS sheets for the properties and explain to you what it was listed for, what it sold for, and I will make some comments about why it might have sold for a little bit under asking price. Some cases I know, other cases I do not know. But we'll see all this tonight. So it's going to be a pretty interesting class in that way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. So, in fact, some of what we did last week, it was sort of previewed. It was the light version because we were talking about making offers, and we showed a couple slides in there about lowball offers. And then tonight we'll kind of dive a little deeper. So next week, contract to close. That's basically once you go under contract to buy property to closing, once you actually close and you now own the property. And you said you're leaving when? April something?
The last time I'll be with you is the last week of April.
So one more class after this. That's on the schedule.
Sorry.
No, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're sorry to see you leave, but I totally understand. You've got other stuff to do, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience and stuff like that. So we'll have to kind of either do some classes solo, or I'll bring in another guest or something. So there's no one that can replace you, though, Jason. There's no one that can replace you.
I love you too, man. Or is that what you mean?
That is what I mean. All right, so next class coming up, April 4th, Sellers Property Disclosure Case Studies. I'm going to show you some examples of those. That's another case studies class. This is a case studies class where we're going to have some different MLS sheets. Sellers Property Disclosure Case Studies, I'll show you some sellers property disclosures. Then negotiating win-win inspections for maximum benefit. It's how you negotiate inspections, at least here in Colorado, and you can adapt it using the meetups, the local meetups, in order to adapt it to your local marketplace. That's what those are for, and you should go to those. And then closing real estate deals. That's going to be all about the closing itself. I think I've taught that class once before. I have to double check, but I'm sure I've taught it at some point. And that's going to be on April 18th. If you want to see a full schedule, you can go to learnbridge.com/schedule. Jason, this is your job. I don't know who's going to do this when you leave us.
You'll have to record me doing it and just play it for everybody's enjoyment.
Just have it show up every time.
What is Nomad?
So what is Nomad, Jason?
Nomad is a real estate investing strategy where you purchase a property as an owner-occupant, meaning that you move in for a period of at least 1 year so that you can get owner-occupant financing, and then at the end of the year, you turn it into a rental property and go buy the next house and move into that one.
So this is proof that, give you 2 months and you could totally explain this very well in one sentence, whatever it is.
It was a pretty long sentence, but
yeah, but I mean, it's the idea, right? You're basically buying a house, you're moving in, you got to live there. That's how you get the owner-occupant financing. You're able to do it with very little down. And then you convert that property to a rental and you buy another one. And so you're able to acquire, a large portfolio of properties with very little down. So that's it. Anyone have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A and other stuff's there. So lowball offer case studies is what we're going to do. So you don't need to make lowball offers for doing Nomad, which is why this probably class will never be taught again. When we talk about the Nomad model, every time we model it with you buying at asking price, at value. We're not assuming you're getting a discount. If you do get a discount, it helps you a little bit with cash flow. It'll help you a little bit if you're doing some type of lease option exit or some type of fix and flip type exit on the property. But if you're planning on holding the properties until they're paid off, the discount doesn't help that much. And so you don't need to do it. You really don't. But we're going to talk about lowball and kind of look at the numbers, and I'll show you what those mean. But you do not need to do it. It's not required. So one of the things I wanted to do with this class is I think some people, and not everybody, but I think some people come in whenever they kind of hear about real estate investing, they think I've got to come in and make offers significantly below asking price in order to buy properties. I mean, did you think that, Jason, when you started coming to class?
When I first met you in the first few NCREG meetings I went to, yeah, I thought that the whole thing was going to be, I came into it kind of with if you see any of the fix and flip shows on HGTV or A&E, whatever, yeah. And, they talk about these dumps of houses that you just turn into gems, right? Yeah. So that's the thought process that I came into it with. And I think a lot of people do as well.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think there's a lot of people that come to class for the first time and they think, I'm going to come in here. I want them to teach me how to go buy a house at, $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 below the asking price. I want them to teach me the secrets to how to go do that. And that's what I'm going to use in order to get, the properties in my portfolio. Well, I'm here to tell you, you do not need to do that for this model. And I'm going to show you just how common that is in our local marketplace by showing you real data, real properties that have sold in our local MLS and show you how that works. So one kind of comment as we're talking about Nomad specifically, and it's this kind of philosophy that Warren Buffett teaches. He has a quote that says, it's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. And this reminds me of our discussion about making lowball offers when we were talking about selecting properties. You don't want to go and get a property at a $30,000 discount just because you can in a really crappy neighborhood on a crappy property. I'd rather you buy something that's really good quality, pay a fair price for it, and know that you can keep that in your portfolio for 10, 20, 30, 40 years as a nomad and not have to sell it unless you want to, or you want to do a lease option to mitigate CapEx. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this is one of the tiny things I think where you disagree a little bit with how I'm implementing your model.
Yes.
Because I'm okay going in and going slightly under, like house number 2, I bought 5% below market value.
Sure.
And I'm going to probably have to put like 2% of that back into it.
Yep.
And that's not something that you normally would recommend, I don't think.
That is true. There is a fixer-upper nomad model, which we teach one class on. But really, the model in general is you can buy properties that are totally fixed up to minimize how much money you need in the deal. So you don't have to buy at a discount. You don't have to get things. You could basically pay full price for good quality properties. And that's really what we're focused on. Make sense? All right. I think Jason got distracted with his puppy. Sold price to list price. So we're going to be talking a lot tonight about the ratio of what the property sold for, sold price, compared to what it was listed for. And I want to make a couple comments to explain what's going on so that there's some clarity as we talk about these charts tonight. There's a lot of charts on this particular topic, and I want to just kind of make sure everyone understands. So the first thing is list price is not value, okay? So I want to give you an example to demonstrate this. Jason, are you back with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, though you're much farther away now.
Oh, something happened.
Okay. Well, I'll let you kind of work on your mic, whatever you want to do. But basically, I want to give you this example. So let's say you're a seller, and let's say the property is appraised for $200,000. Its real value is $200,000, and for some reason, you say to the agent representing you on the sell side, hey, listen, I don't care if my property is $200,000. This property has emotional value to me. It's been in my family for 200 years. I am not selling it unless I get 250. So it's possible for a seller to come in, tell the market through the real estate agent, through the seller's agent, that the property I'm selling is for, oh, wow, came on with video now. Property is going to be listed for $250,000, which is $50,000 more than it's worth. Okay. If this property eventually got an offer on it and they eventually did sell, and the buyer came in and offered him $200,000 on the property and he reluctantly accepted, it looks like that particular seller got an offer for 20% below asking price. But really, it's actually 100% of value. And I want to make that point very clear, because when we're talking about the discounts we're talking about getting, this is not discounts from value. In fact, it could be that they're paying what the value is and that they're not getting a discount from value. They may be getting a discount from list price. And I think that's one of the points I want to make. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're back with video this time. And we're both wearing like button shirts, which is very unusual.
Yeah, I've started moving towards the lumberjack look.
The lumberjack look. All right. I don't do the lumberjack look.
No, I know.
I do have a couple flannel shirts, but that's funny. All right. So we talked about this idea. So list price is not value. You may or may not still be buying the properties below value. It's not clear. And you think about my example to kind of understand that. Sold price is not the same as offer price. So here's another example of this. Same $200,000 property. So let's say, hypothetically, the buyer comes in and he says, hey, listen, your property is listed for $250. I'll make you an offer for $250. So they come in, they make the offer for $250. The property gets inspected. They agree on everything on inspection. So that sounds really good. But then it comes to the time for appraisal, and the appraisal comes back and the value comes in at $200,000. So the appraiser comes in and says, the property's not worth $250. You guys are crazy. All the comps suggest the property is worth $200,000. So the buyer and seller negotiate a little bit more, and they say, okay, I really do need the money now. I've already committed to buying another house. So I realize that I'm not going to be able to get more than appraised value in this particular case. So I'll go ahead and reduce the price to be $200,000, even though you'd offer $250 because the property appraised for $200. So what it sold for 200,000 in this case, was not what the buyer originally offered. They offered 250 in the example. And this happens more common than you think. The most common one is with inspection issues. So someone could buy, totally different example, someone could buy a $300,000 property. They offer 305. But during the inspection, something comes up and they find out that the furnace is about to die. It's like on its last leg. And so they negotiate a $5,000 discount because the furnace is going to need to be replaced. And so they're able to go ahead and say, okay, I offered 305. We're going to sell it for 300. And so offer price and sold price are not the same either. In our current market, these things tend to happen during appraisal and inspection. And so you can kind of think about it that way. Okay. Now the offer price, what the person offered originally, is not publicly available. So I have data on what the sold price is. I have data on what the property was listed for originally, but I do not have data on what the offer was at that point.
You talked about this extensively last week with how agents will change the listing price in the MLS to the offer price. So I would encourage people to go back and listen to that section of the recording. That was a pretty good conversation. It was pretty fascinating stuff, actually.
Or I'll save you the time and show that in the next slide.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you don't see these presentations ahead of time, right?
Right. No, I do not.
They're logically flowing into each other.
Correct.
Okay. So some agents will change the list price to match the offer price. That's my next bullet point. When property finally sells, it may look like there was no discount when in fact there was. Or if the price was renegotiated during inspection, resolution, or appraisal, it may appear to have sold for a discount. And in some cases, it appears as though it's sold for a premium. And so let's take a look at these examples. So here are 3 different examples from our local MLS. And one of them is the property was listed, it came on the market at $269,900. It went under contract. And when it went under contract, the agent who was listing it raised the price by $20,000. So in our market, we're seeing a lot of offers come in above asking price. So property was listed for $269,000. Presumably many offers came in. The property was then, they basically said, okay, maybe the offer we have is for $289,000. Let's go, or maybe it's even more than that. And then they come in and they say, I'm going to raise the price in the MLS so that it's actually $20,000 higher. The reason they do this, your guess is as good as mine. I have a guess that maybe it's because they want the appraiser to see that the property is listed for $289,900 now, and that they won't go back and look into history. I don't know. It's only a guess. But in this case, then the property, so it went under contract. As soon as it was showed as under contract, active backup, then it went to $289,900. After that, when it closed, we found out it closed for $298,500. So it went up almost another $9,000 or so between when it went under contract and when it closed. So it's kind of an interesting one that the price actually went up and then ended up closing for even higher than that. Sort of
question. Is there anything to do with like an agent's reputation or success rates or anything like that that can be tied to that and maybe explain that practice of doing this?
You know, it's possible that somebody's trying to use those stats to bolster their reputation, but I don't see it. You know, maybe
you don't do this, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, I think it's a bad idea. So yeah, so I don't do it at all. So here's another example though. So this property, the next one came on at $259,000, and then it went under contract. And when it went under contract, they raised the price from $259,000 to $270,000. Then when it sold for $270,000. So that's another example. Okay. Here's another one. It came on the market at $325,000. When it went under contract, they raised the price $40,000 to $365,000. And then something must have gotten negotiated on inspection or appraisal. It went from $365,000 list price to $357,500 as the sold price. So Jason, here's the question for you. If a property comes on the market at $325,000, the price gets raised $40,000 to $365,000 when it goes under contract, but then it eventually sells for $357,500, $8,000 or $7,500 less. What does it show up on my chart? Will it show up as a $40,000 increase, a $7,000 discount from list price? What do you think it shows up as?
It will show up as the $7,000 discount from list price, not the $40,000 surge.
That is correct. And so that's something to really be aware of. In this case, this property really sold for, $35,000 or whatever it is above asking price.
Right.
So it really should be showing up as a $35,000 above asking price offer. In this case, though, it actually shows up as a $7,000 discount, which is crazy.
Have you ever seen where they would then go in and change the listing price to the $357,500?
I have not, but it's possible we could see examples, because you got to realize too, I'm not usually looking at this.
No.
Tammy went and dug these out of the MLS for us to make the presentation. So
Right.
It's not something I'm usually looking at and trying to see. Okay, so just kind of realize where the data is coming from. All right, so here's a chart showing 4 different cities in northern Colorado: Fort Collins, Greeley, Loveland, and Windsor. And what it shows is all the way on the left-hand side. Oh, I got a little laser pointer now. All the way on the left-hand side here. In 1997, properties in, this is probably Greeley or Windsor, I can't tell which. Properties in Greeley and Windsor were on average selling for 98.5% of list price. Properties in Fort Collins were selling for about 98.7, 98 point, whatever it is, percent of list price. And so most of the properties were selling just under 99% list price. Okay, so there are some that are selling for above asking price and many for selling below asking price. Okay, as the years went on, 1998, 2000, 2002, it's increasing. So Windsor and Greeley are selling for about 100%. Fort Collins and Loveland were selling for about 99%, maybe a little bit more. Okay, then we had the downturn. 2008 comes. At the peak of the downturn, when the real estate market was the worst we'd ever seen in our lifetime, properties in Windsor were selling for about 97% of list price. Let me put that in perspective. If you were buying a $300,000 property and you got a 3% discount off of list price, you just bought the property for $9,000 below asking price on average.
Yeah.
Okay. The properties in Fort Collins and Loveland, they were selling for about 98%, maybe 97 in high change. So somewhere in that ballpark. So again, about 2%. So on a $300,000 property, you're getting a property at about $6,000 discount from list price. Okay, that's during the worst real estate market of our lifetime. Then 2010 came and we really start seeing a recovery. Properties are selling for less and less of a discount from list price. And in the last year or two, we're starting to see properties on average selling for above asking price.
I'd love to see?
What's that?
Charts like this for cities like Las Vegas and Jacksonville and Detroit,
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting to see. So I don't have data for those markets, but I do have data for our MLS, and this is what I do. So lately we've seen over 100%. So that's kind of a chart showing that. This is a very similar chart that we have for Fort Collins, again, going all the way back to 1997 on the left-hand side and all the way up to 2016 on the right-hand side. I'm going to pull in my web browser. Can you see that in my web browser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you zoom in on your browser a little bit?
Yeah. Better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So what I want to show you is that these charts are interactive on my website. So if you were a local client, you were kind of looking at these, this is the interactive version. I want to show you how we kind of build these charts so that you can understand. So this is Fort Collins, the ratio of sold price to list price. And this is median. This is a 50th percentile. This means that half of the properties were above this, half of the properties were below this. It's not an average. It shows you the actual number of sales, half of them were above, and the number of sales, half of them were below. Elijah says, is it possible to obtain appraised values to compare against sold price? Nope. Appraised values come in on the appraisal. They're not recorded anywhere. So no, it's not appraised values. The closest thing we could do is compare it to like assessed value or a proxy for assessed value and use that as a ratio. And I'll talk about that later. Okay. So this is kind of chart shows you that the median in 1997 was 98.4. The median in 1999 was 100%. And then we're seeing basically 100% for the last 4 years, 2004, 14, 15, 16, and so far this year we're at 100%. Okay. So what's interesting though is I can add overlays and I could show you where 40th percentile to the 60th percentile or the middle 20% of the market is. So what this means is this. Let's pick 2008 as an example. So in 2008, The 40th percentile, 40% of the properties sold for below 97.49% of list price, and 60% sold for above 98.92. So it shows you where 20% of the market, the 40th percentile to the 60th percentile, lay. And so you can now see that about most of the 20th percentile was around this range. What's interesting about a year like 2015, the range is all at 100. So 20% of the properties sold for list price. Exactly. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to show you the 40s, 60s. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, I'll take off 40s, 60s. I'm going to show you the 30th to the 70th percentile. So this is a full 40% of our market sold between, let's just pick 2010 now. So 40% of our market sold between 96.55 and 99.51 in 2010. In our market, like last year, 2016, 40% of the market sold between 98.8 and 100.84. A huge amount of our market sold for less than 1.5% discount, and a good amount of it sold for above asking price. Okay. Now I could add in these additional overlays so you can see, like, where's the 20th percentile and how it compares to these other ones. What I'm going to show you now is just show you the 5th to the 95th percentile. So I'm going to show you the outliers. So when you talk about 5th to 95th, it means 5% of the property sold for below this number and 5% of it sold for above this number. So in 2016, 1 out of 20 properties, 1 out of 20 offers came in more than 5% of a discount. 94.67 was the sold price to list price ratio. And 1 out of 20 offers sold for greater than 7% above asking price.
And the majority of the ones that are in the lower end of the band that were near the almost 5% below, the assumption there is that those are houses that were listed at peak anyway, right?
People are not trying to come in low on their properties now. There's no incentive to do so. We're seeing high demand. It's not like you need to get people in the house.
On the listing price, you mean?
What's that?
On the list, there's no incentive to come in low on their listing price.
Agreed. Or on the buy side. I mean, there's no incentive to come in low. You're not getting your offer accepted if you're coming in low.
Right.
So in this case, we're seeing 1 out of 20 properties sell for 7% or more above asking price. That's crazy numbers. Okay, let's continue on with our presentation. So this is the same type of idea, but I want to show you that there's seasonality to this. Okay, so this chart shows you just the last year, 2016, and 2017 is in red, so I have this year's data so far. But 2016 shows you the last year's data, and it shows you the ratio of sold price to list price broken out by month. So I'm going to show another chart from my website. And this, again, is an interactive chart. So I'm going to turn off all the 2017 stuff for now, okay? And I'm also going to shut off the kind of bands. And I'm going to show you that most months, properties are selling for about 100%, okay? The exceptions are February, the median, half of the properties sold for above 99.41 and half sold for below. And December, half sold for above 99.14 and half sold below. Yeah, so Wise says that's what it's like here in Jacksonville. So you're seeing a really hot market in Jacksonville right now, Wise? I'll continue going while he kind of answers. So basically, we're talking about this ratio of sold price to list price being at about 100%. So there's that. What I want to point out to you, though, is let's look at this 40th to 60th percentile. What's interesting is the properties, 20% of the market is selling for below asking price in January and February, and above asking price March, April, May, June, July. August, it's about break even. September, October, November, and December are below. Yeah, why says seller's market here. It's an extreme seller's market here too, okay? So now I can go and I can show you the 30th to the 70th percentile, and it just shows you that we're seeing more extreme. We're seeing a higher peak here than we're seeing there. And this is the 80th to the 20th percentile. So what this means is 20% of the properties sold for above the top line and 20% sold for below the bottom line. So for example, in June of last year, 20% of the properties sold for above 104.76 and 20% sold for below 98.8. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, see, basically Wise is saying what we're seeing here too. I network with a lot of realtors. They'll have 3 to 8 offers above list. Yep, that's what we're seeing in our market too. It's crazy. Okay? So you can see on this chart though, visually, what's happening. We're seeing the seasonality where we're seeing offers in January, February, March, and then increasing over the summer months and then decreasing again once you get this September, October, November, December stuff.
It tells you when you should be making your offers.
I don't know if that's true, because if the property you want is not on the market in January, you're making the offer based on what you can get it for.
Yeah, but under the Nomad model, you don't need that perfect set of criteria house like you would if you were trying to do some very specific creative real estate model, right?
Well, that's true. You don't have to pick a particular house because of the type of financing you're getting.
Right.
But you want quality.
Sure.
I mean, when we talked about house selection, you're trying to pick that top 5% of houses, that 1 out of 20 that's unusual, or maybe even a little bit better than that. Maybe 1 out of 40 that you really, really want, and that you kind of you're willing to wait for and pay fair price for it, or even a small premium, because it's worth it to have it long term.
Yeah, but you've also said many times that you don't have to stick exactly to the 12-month time frame.
That's true.
There's some leeway. You don't have to move into the house for 60 days, so you can start looking. And it's just, to me, it's one of the benefits of Nomad is you're not locked into any type of timing like you would, like if you were using hard money, then you got to flip that house before the loan balloons.
Sure. Yeah, you're watching your financing.
You don't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
That's true. All right, let me point out one other thing about this chart. So the first thing is we can compare last year to this year to date. So I've toggled it off and on, but basically this is last year, the 40th to 60th percentile. So the 20% or so of the market. This is this year so far. So January, we're seeing less of a discount for that kind of mid-range. And for February, we're seeing less of a discount. And so you can see if we're a hotter market than we were last year or a colder market than we were last year. And I'll kind of toggle on the 20th to 80th and we can kind of compare those two. So we're seeing a hotter market this year than we did last year at the same time.
How far back can you trend that?
1997.
Do you have that data? Or, have you done that?
I have. Yeah, we can see it. This is the same type of chart that we showed 2 slides ago. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Trending it by month, though.
Yeah, but it's
seasonality by year.
This is the same idea. We're seeing seasonality, and I can trend it by month, but the data gets so clogged up, it's not working yet, right? Okay. But yeah, I have it. I have the data. Okay. All right, so moving forward again. Oops. All right, so that's that one we covered there. This one, same type of idea, except by week.
That one's a little more confusing.
Okay, let's take a look. Same chart. Basically, each one of these is just a week. This was last year's. Let's take last year's off. This is this year's. This is the median. And you can see that during the winter months, the first few weeks of the year, we're seeing stuff, half of the properties are selling for above this number and half are selling for below. So we're seeing some dipping into discounts. Over the summer months, we're seeing a lot of jumping up into premiums. And then over the winter months, again, kind of the fall into the winter, we're seeing discounts again. This shows you that there is seasonality on a much finer point. So we can actually go and say, Jason, you're about to make an offer on a property. Waiting for the month, for the data for the month to kind of come online might be too long. We want to see if the market's changing quicker. So we can now look at a weekly thing and see what happened last week. Okay? So we put this on here. This is the 20th to the 80th percentile. So this shows you that 20% of the properties sold for above this number and 20% sold for below. And you can see the seasonality there. And we can compare that to this year so far to see if the market's getting hotter or colder. Make sense?
Yeah, I like this.
And you could go to add on any of these different overlays to kind of compare the 30th to 70th percentile for different years, or you can kind of see where 40th and 60th are, and you kind of just do lots of visuals and look at the charts.
It definitely makes me glad that my Nomad month is now December instead of August when I started.
There you go. If you're willing to move during those holiday seasons, it could
Yeah.
be a big benefit to you. All right. Moving this back out.
Yeah, I was moving into this place Christmas weekend, actually.
Yeah, very few people want to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another chart, again, showing you the sold price to list price as a percentage, except this time we're looking at it as a function of price. So this is not over time. This is saying, do cheaper properties sell for higher than list price normally, or do more expensive properties sell for higher than list price normally? And I'm going to be able to zoom in here and show you this on our website. Same type of idea, okay? So here it is, that same chart, okay? So I'm going to start toggling everything off so you can see stuff. All right, so now let's say I wanted to show you the average in 4 columns of the price, sold price to list price by price range. So what it shows you is that in this $125,000 price range, those are selling for, on average, 3.63% above asking price. As you get higher in price, the discount from list price increases, such that around, I don't know, 475 or so, we're seeing on average properties to sell for below asking price. Okay? Now, here's the median. Remember, median is half of them are above and half of them are below. Average is you take all the numbers, add them together, and divide by the number. So the median, I think, is a better indication, and that shows you that 300,000 to about 500,000, they're selling for about asking price. Half of the properties are selling for about asking price. Half of them are selling for less. And then you have basically the numbers, they get bigger discounts the more you go.
James,
I just need to buy $1 million property to get a discount. On average, that's what the numbers are suggesting. Yeah, I'll show you data later too about that. Okay, so this is average and median. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you, this is the last year's worth of data, by the way. Okay, so this shows you the last 12 months. I'm going to compare this year to last year. Those are the 2 charts. This year, last year. This year, last year. And you can see that they're very similar. Okay, not a lot of movement. What about average? This year, last year. This year, last year. I think I see that they're selling a little bit less, a little bit more this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I want to show you, this is the actual individual sale points for all the properties. And you can zoom in and say, okay, show me this sort of 300 range. Or you can say, show me, 300,000-ish to 400,000. I want to see the data in there. And you can go drill down and look at those and see which ones are selling. Okay, and if you want to draw the average line, you can add that back in. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. To steal a line from Batman, how does he create such wonderful charts?
You like my charts?
Yeah, I do. You know what? I literally only discovered a few days ago that they were interactive like this.
Really? You didn't know that?
Even I did not know that. And I'm theoretically like one of the people that should know, right?
One would think that you should know that. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to quickly run through some of these additional tools here. This one allows you to run this chart, but you can say, I only want to see properties between, 200,000 and 250,000, and I only want to see properties built between 2000 and 2005, and it will show you new data. It'll basically recreate this chart using those limitations.
Is this something that's available to everybody or only to your clients?
This particular page is just clients.
Okay.
Yeah. Y says LOL. He's laughing at you. So basically, you can do this limitation and show this sold price, list price, because the thought process, Jason, is this: you want to go buy a property and you want to buy a 10-year-old or a 20-year-old property in the 200 to 250 price range in 4 columns. In that particular narrow price range, are we seeing pretty big discounts? Or are we seeing pretty big premiums? And the way to know that is you kind of need to filter it down. It's not enough to say, hey, on average, properties are selling for 1% above, because if you take into account the really high-end stuff, those are getting discounts. The really low-end stuff's doing big premiums, as we saw in that previous chart. So you can't just use general rules. You really do need to narrow it down. And now you know why I'm never teaching this class again.
Right. This is also going to change a lot.
It does. It changes every year.
Yeah.
Monthly it changes, right? I mean, all the
It's
time.
not as evergreen.
It really is. Look at this. The same type of idea, you can do some limitations, but this is the monthly one. So you can do that same thing there. I'm going to hide that one.
Let me ask you something, James.
Yeah.
How does a person actually apply this information? And yes, it's specific to Northern Colorado, but how would a nomad apply this not only to the timing of when they make their offer, but also in relation to your advice about buying in that second quartile of price range? What's the interplay between those two things in your mind?
I think most nomads are not going to be able to apply this, right? Because most of them are not going to have this level of data. So if you have the data, then great. I mean, it just makes you a little bit better about making offers. But otherwise, you got to rely on the expertise of agents. And in a lot of other markets, the agents, they're sort of doing this by feel and intuition. You know, they're making 10 offers and they're realizing I only got 2 of them accepted. I need to be more aggressive in our offers because we're seeing this. And so they're making adjustments that way. For us in our local market, I'm able to go look at the data and say, look, on average, we're seeing this, but this is a really good property. I'd actually been much more aggressively. But you know what it does help you do? It helps you understand the extremes. We're going to go and look at actual case studies of the biggest discounts that we've seen, and you're going to see what does it take to get a X% discount in the marketplace. And I think that helps. I mean, you should recognize that people are not getting 50% discounts in our marketplace.
They're not even getting 5.
Well, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see what ratio of properties are getting those discounts.
Okay.
All right. Same type of chart with percentiles, just allows you to narrow it down. This one shows you that chart with just price, the sold price, list price. It's kind of breaking out that way. This one, though, shows you the sold price, list price broken out by days on market, which is a little bit different. If it stays on the market longer, are you getting a bigger discount? Or are you not getting a bigger discount? And that shows you this chart. So these are days on market here, and you can zoom in and see stuff. And then finally, who was it? Was Elijah that asked that question about value? This is the chart that shows you the sold price to list price based on what I consider to be a proxy for value. We do not have the actual value. We don't have appraised value.
Right.
What we do have is what the tax assessor thinks the value of the property is. So if the tax assessor thinks the value of the property is $300,000, then we can use that in order to see if we're getting bigger discounts comparatively when the list price to the tax value is off. And so we do that by looking at the amount of taxes to list price. Y says, do you have a lot of meetups focused on real estate in your area? I'd say we probably have 4 or 5 in our local marketplace.
There's only one that matters, though.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, Y says 6
the
or
one
so.
James runs, just to make that clear.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so basically, Elijah, Wise, you must say you have like 6 or so there. Yeah, and in our investor group, it's not huge. I mean, we have like 700 members, and on a typical meeting night, I mean, it varies widely, but I think tomorrow night we'll probably have 20, 30 people there. Not huge numbers. So, yeah, Wise says lots of deals get done there without going through the MLS. I would say that is not the case in our marketplace. The overwhelming majority of deals, 95+%, are done inside the MLS in our marketplace.
Is Wise saying that a lot of deals in Jacksonville are getting done outside?
Yeah.
The MLS, is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting about that is it may be a lot of deals are getting done, but it may still be a very small percentage of deals.
That's true.
Right? I mean, when you're dealing with a population, I think Jacksonville's got to be over 1 million people. But when you're dealing with a population of over 1 million people, and you're talking about deals getting done, I mean, you could have dozens of deals done every month in a particular thing, and it wouldn't be a huge percentage-wise. Think about that too. All right, cool. So that's the chart for that. I'm going to cover this chart here in a second.
I want to know about the quality of the deal. I want to compare the quality of the deals between the two sources. That's a more interesting gauge, I think.
Yeah. All right, so lowball offers, sold price, list price. I'm going to show you all the transactions in the last 12 months, 4 columns. I'm going to show you all the above asking price offers and what percentage we're talking about and by how much. I'm going to show you all the below asking price offers and what percents are below asking price and by how much. And then I'm going to show you the top 10%, the top 5%, and the top 1%. So that means that in the top 10%, 1 out of 10 deals was represented here. Top 5%, 1 out of 20, and the top 1% means 1 out of 100 deals were these numbers. Yeah, and Y says with tenants in place. Sure. All right, important note, further limited if you want to buy within the specific price band, neighborhood, et cetera. So not typically the best for nomads. So I'm going to show you all these numbers, but realize this isn't just the pool of nomad properties. This is going to become really clear very quickly when we look at the actual MLS sheets, because some of the things that you're able to get a 10, 15, 20% discount on, as Elijah pointed out, they might be multi-million-dollar properties. They might be really crappy properties in really crappy neighborhoods. And those are not nomad properties.
Maybe Elijah's onto something. The millionaire nomad model.
The $1 million nomad home model? Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna go and convert these charts to the. Actually, I'm going to just do them on the PowerPoint. If I need to do them somewhere else, I'll do them somewhere else. All right, so here's basically the PowerPoint slide. This shows you the sold price and list price. If I ordered all of the properties from the highest ratio of sold price to list price, the biggest premium over asking price, all the way over here to the right side of the biggest discount from list price, okay? And you can see this is the range of values. The biggest discount, the biggest premium was up here at almost, whatever that is, 40% above asking price. And the biggest discount one was over here at about 25% or so of list price.
Do you have those two extremes in your examples?
I only did the examples of the biggest discounts.
Got it, okay.
I didn't look at these, but I could tell you this though. Where we tend to see the biggest premiums is new construction. Because the property gets listed as a model for $250, someone comes in and upgrades everything, ends up spending $90,000 in upgrades to their stuff and finances it in, it appraises and it sells.
Got it.
Next thing you know, it looks like this thing sold for, 27% above asking price.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so let's go and drill in a little bit more. Go on. Okay, so here it is. These are all of the ones that were over 100%. You can see that it's basically 38% of the entire market sold for above asking price. Okay, because that's where it ends up. Oh, everything else is 100%. And you can see that there was one property that sold for like 145, another one that sold for 135, and then the kind of like even the outliers, I think of these other ones. I mean, those two are kind of outliers. But even like the low end of the range is really like 25% premium is the big one, okay? And there's not a lot of them until you get down to 10%. In fact, here's 5% of the market. 5% of the market was less than 7%, which we knew from before.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see it now visually. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the discounts. So these are all of the offers below 100%. And the full 35% of them or so are below asking price. So 1/3 of our market was below asking price offers in Fort Collins in the hottest market we've ever seen. But remember, this is list price to sold price, not value. So people could be coming in and thinking my property is worth 200. I'm going to stretch and I'm going to ask 220. And then all of a sudden when they only get 215, it shows up as a discount.
Right.
Okay, so realize that too. All right, so this is all of them. Let's go and zoom in a little more.
And you have no way of calculating how many of those were initially listed as a stretch.
No, because we don't know what the stretch number is, right?
Right.
Unless I'm going in there and I'm appraising every single property, which I don't have data on, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the top 10%. It shows us the numbers. So top 10% of the market looks like the discount was, 90-something% here. Or basically 3% discount or 4% discount, somewhere in there. And then you can see the kind of drop off at the end. There's not a lot of drop off, right? These are outliers. All right, let's zoom in a little more. So this is the top 5%, 1 out of 20 properties. Shows you all those. And then finally, this is the top 1%. The top 1% of properties in Fort Collins basically got a 10% discount or more.
I just found that I like Elijah's comment, just 200,000 down.
Yeah, for the $1 million Nomad thing.
Yeah. See, where I live, 200,000 buys you the entire duplex.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could argue you could do that sort of here. And I mean, maybe not a whole duplex, but yeah. And it's not really $200,000 down, Elijah. It's $50K down if you can get conventional at 5%. Although it's hard to do that. All right, cool. So here's the case study part of the class. What we're going to do is look through some MLS sheets, and I pulled the biggest discount ones we had, and I'm going to show you, would these have been properties that you would have considered buying? Well, let's take a look. We're going to take a look at some of the price difference, days on market, ownership, occupancy. Was yours sold at a discount, price change history, listing comments, and the financing on purchase. All right. So here was a property, was listed for, right up here, $575, and ended up selling for $130.
Can you make that bigger?
$575, sold for $130. What's interesting about this property, though?
Looks like it's not even built yet.
It's new construction. You know what happened?
What's that?
They were advertising a property to be built, and someone bought the lot instead.
Okay.
So they were basically saying, hey, do this property to be built, and instead of buying the property, they actually sold the lot. So really, the biggest discount property in Fort Collins was more so a administrative error than anything else.
How big is the lot?
0.08 acres.
$130,000 for a 3,300 square foot lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad I moved.
One of the biggest discounts in Fort Collins was a clerical error.
Okay.
Wasn't really even that they got a discount. They were selling a house, they sold a lot.
So this doesn't even appear on your chart.
It does. This is like the big one. Because it was listed for $575 and it sold for $130.
I thought that the biggest discount was like 20-something percent, 25%.
Oh, they're not in order.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is not the biggest discount necessarily. It might be the biggest discount. In fact, it probably is now that I think about it, because it's $130 for $575, and the biggest discount one was.
I want to say it was like 25% or something was what you had on there.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the one. Just happens to be. They're not all in order.
Okay. I didn't see that outlier on the chart.
Yeah, crazy, right? All right, here's another one. This one was listed for $160.
That data point isn't particularly useful.
Exactly, that's the point. Is that you thought, hey, listen, somebody's getting properties at a 75% discount.
Right.
You would be mistaken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the lesson. The lesson is we're seeing discounts, but the discounts are not what you think they are.
Right.
Which is crazy. All right, cool. So this property listed for $160, sold for $140. A legitimate discount in many ways, right?
Okay. You should make this a game where we have to guess what was wrong with the property.
Well, it's a legit game. This was a manufactured home. I happened to see this one. Okay. It was really rough.
Okay.
Really rough. Okay. It's listed as a fixer-upper, not in the best neighborhood. So listed for $160, sold for $140 in 120 days for cash. Probably didn't qualify for a loan. It was really rough. Okay.
Like windows boarded up and.
Yep. So would this have made a good Nomad property?
No.
No, would not have. Okay. Here's another one. Listed for $235, sold for $205 in 11 days for cash. This one.
Actually, I know this house.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This might have been a Nomad property.
Huh.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
Okay. This one was listed for $250, sold for $205. It was listed, I'll read the description. Major, in all caps, fixer-upper. Investor's delight. Loads of potential in this 5-bed, 2-bath home in Skyview. Floor coverings have been removed. Cash only or construction financing. Sold in as-is condition. Offers will be considered with fully executed lead-based pay disclosure. Sold in 8 days. 4 days to get the offer. Closed in 8.
Do you know any more about the story?
Nope. But big discount, rough property for cash.
Where's Venus Avenue?
Skyview, basically across college from where I live.
Okay.
All right, so this one listed for $270, sold for $240 in 26 days, sold for cash.
Wow.
Elijah asked, was the previous one located in the 55 plus community? I'm not sure which one. The one in Skyview is not. That's not a 55 plus community. The other one might have been. So this one, what's that?
I know this house too.
So this one is listed for $350, sold for $240 for cash. I'll read you the description. Evidence of mold in house. That's all I need to tell you, right? I mean, so it's a crazy exception to the rule. It's where you're getting these big discounts from. You're not getting discounts on pretty houses. We're just not seeing it.
Like, this is not a Nomad house.
I don't think so. All right, here's another one. Listed for $279, sold for $250 for cash after 155 days. It was remodeled. So it's possible it was like overpriced. Like a fixer-upper guy came in, did the remodel on it, fixed it up, put it on the market, and found out they were a little overpriced for the marketplace. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't know for sure. I don't know.
Is that Park Lane condos?
Yes. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. Here's another one. Listed for $324.9, sold for $250 after 3 days. The description says it all. Great potential for equity gain in this home. Nice sized lot and desirable neighborhood. Home is sold as is, needs complete makeover. Bonus non-conforming bedroom attached to master bedroom. Could be used as an enormous walk-in closet, workout room, nursery, playroom, sitting room, office. Options are endless. Wood floors throughout most of the home. Sounds nice. Cash offers are conventional only. Seller will not repair anything. No seller's property disclosure. Buyer to verify square footage and flood risk. And then here's the broker comments, the secret ones. No seller's property disclosure. Enter property at your own risk. Bring hand sanitizer. Make sure all entrances are properly secured.
So to me, that sounds like squatters lived there and trashed the place.
It's possible. It's pretty rough, though.
Did you see it?
I did not see this one, no.
Okay.
No. But it was a fixer-upper. Tells you to bring your own hand sanitizer. All right, here's another one. $289.9 listed for, sold for $260 after 21 days. This one, in my opinion, probably could have been a possible Nomad.
Looks nice.
There's nothing about it that I could see that would make it non-Nomad-ish. So there's an example of being able to get one for a little bit of a discount.
Was it overpriced to begin with, you think?
It's hard to say. We can go look it up. It's in Rossboro.
Was it cash?
Yep. Oh, sorry. No, it was conventional financing. Yeah. All right, so this one listed for $304.9, sold for $260. The description says gutted to the studs. Pretty rough. Okay, so this is what you're getting for these big discounts if you're going to go in there and do them. Here's another one listed for $300, sold for $268. Sold for undervalue. It was a trade with another property.
Huh.
So there you go. Sold for cash. It was a trade, but yeah, sold for cash. Here's another one. Listed for $319.9. Sold for $275 after 60 days. It's in the foothills, and it's a manufactured home.
It's like over by where you used to live when you first moved to
foothills. Yeah,
okay.
It's up in the foothills on up by Overhill. Horsetooth Lake Estates.
It's a nice area.
Sure. It's a manufactured home.
You inherently don't like manufactured for Nomad?
I'd rather you stick with a stick-built house. I'd rather you buy quality.
Yep.
Okay. Price $350 for this one. Sold for $302.5 after 76 days. in my opinion, this one could have been a good Nomad property. I probably should have asked you at the beginning to count the number of Nomads. I think it's 3. If anyone remembers more than 3, let me know. But I think we've got 3 possible Nomad ones.
I think we're at 4.
3 or 4?
I think we're
there's going to be 28 properties, I think, total. I did the biggest discount, 28 properties, and there are 4 of them that were Nomad so far.
And Ridgewood Hills is a nice neighborhood.
Agreed. Yep, this one could have been a Nomad. Okay, this one listed for 380, sold for 320, gutted, cash offers only. Here's another one listed for 389.9, sold for 323 after 8 days. This was a trust sale. And I think we're going to make up for some of those nights when you go over on time, by the way.
Yeah,
you're nearing the end of my presentation already.
Oh, all right.
All right. So listed for 369. This one sold for 330 after 77 days. Sold as is.
Is that a manufactured?
Doesn't say that. It says normal wood frame construction.
Okay.
This one was listed for 410, sold for 365 after 14 days. It was an estate sale.
That could be Nomad.
Could have been. Bedroom 3 is non-conforming, so it's really a 2-bedroom house for 410, dude. 2-bedroom house for 365, even if you got it for 365, seems kind of high.
Yeah.
Listed for 450, sold for 385 after 113 days. Says it needs updating. You want to see it?
I was just trying to. Yeah.
That's 450.
Okay.
Okay. Where am I here? Next slide. Listed for 475, sold for 425 with owner financing in 8 days.
Is it new?
No, doesn't say it's new. It's kind of interesting though.
That could have been Nomad, couldn't it?
I think it's possible it could have been. Yeah. I mean, it is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, sort of a little bit north of Old Town. This one was listed for 475, sold for 425 after 140 days.
That's a long time on the market. What's wrong with this place?
And that's probably one of the questions, right? This one sold for listed for 475, sold for 425. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I've seen this property. It's actually a really nice property. The kitchen layout was a little bit funky, but super nice. And Old Town, Fort Collins. It was on the market for a while.
These are the brand new condos over towards the Lincoln Center?
Yeah, Magnolia Lofts.
Okay.
Okay. Listed for 495, sold for 440 after 50 days. It's a little expensive for Nomad, but it's possible. New construction, 589,900, sold for 530. And the only thing I can think of on this one, because it doesn't say, it could have been listed with a whole bunch of upgrades included, but then sold without the upgrades, is my thought. That's a pretty big discount.
You're very clearly seeing in these examples what you were showing on the chart about the discount in relation to price.
That too. Yeah.
You obviously have these ordered in rank of price.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, I think that's what you're doing.
Oh, that makes more sense. I probably
keep going up.
All right, Here it is. A $1.1 million listing, sold for $900,000 in 28 days with conventional financing. There you go, Elijah. There's your $1 million house. And you're able to get a $200,000 discount on it.
Was it a bed and breakfast?
Might have been. It's 4 hotel suites, excellent Old Town location. Here's another one, listed for $1.1 million, sold for $975 after 15 days with conventional financing.
Yeah, but what does it say? 16 acres?
So Elijah asked how many units. It's actually suites. It's not units.
It's a hotel.
Yeah, it's staying 4 like units / suites.
But it's sold for residential financing instead of commercial.
Well, it just says conventional. That could mean anything.
Oh, okay.
I think we did this one. 1.1 sold for 975. Here's another one. 1.25 sold for 1.082 in 47 days with conventional financing.
Wow. So
1.299 million sold for 1.1 after 1861 days. It's about 5 years. If I did my math right, it's like 5 years on the market.
That was not a motivated seller.
Apparently not. Right? Here's another one. 1.78 million and sold for 1.54 after 46 days.
Wow. Where's that house?
That's in Hearthstone. The homestead, basically.
Well, I don't know where that's at.
If I'm not mistaken, that's South Fork Collins.
Is that like Vine and LeMay area?
No, South Fork Collins.
Yeah, Vine.
Vine's not very north part of town.
Or not Vine, but
I think it's like near Carpenter.
Okay.
And that's it.
Wow.
So what's the lesson here? What do you pick up from seeing the actual properties and how big of a discount they got? Can you see why we're probably not teaching this class anymore?
Yeah, because there's not, at least in a hot market like you have, there's not a significant correlation between a discount and the price range that I'm buying in as a Nomad.
And to be clear, in case people are wondering, I did not cherry pick these case studies. I picked the biggest discounted ones we have. This was not me saying, let me show you crap. This is, let me show you the biggest 28 properties, the biggest discounts on 28 properties, and show you what the biggest discounts we're getting.
Now, what does a property in your market look like at a 10% discount?
Well, we can go look at those. We can go pull them up if you want to, but I mean, we're not seeing
generically. I'm saying.
So let's look back at the chart. Remember, we said that the top 1% is a 10% discount. So less than 1% is not even 10%.
Okay. And a better question, and I think you may have shown something to this effect. What's the price range where you're getting those 10% discounts?
Well, they're the ones that we just looked at, right? Because we basically picked the top 1% of the market. And I showed you 28 properties. And so that's the top of the market. So it's a wide range of prices.
Okay.
The cheapest one was that probably 160, 141.
Yeah, but that wasn't a Nomad property. So
no.
Like if I was coming to you as a customer, as a client, I'd want to know what price range do I need to be looking at, or I'm looking at Nomad ready, move-in ready houses where I'm more likely than other price ranges to maybe get a discount.
Well, I just told you don't need to get a discount to Nomad.
No, I know that. But what if I'm one of those people that insists on a discount? Because there's plenty of people.
Oh, that's actually a really interesting question.
Okay.
If you're one of the people that insists on getting a discount, you're going to be sitting on the sideline.
Go buying Greeley?
Well, I think Greeley. I mean, I have numbers for Greeley too. We can go pull those up if you want. In fact, let me do it on my website. It's similar numbers.
Okay. Just the prices are lower, slightly.
Yep. So here's the chart.
Last week's not amazingly lower.
Yeah, here's the chart for Greeley.
Okay.
Let me update it.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, it's my loading screen. So in Greeley, the top 1% are less than 10% discount.
Okay.
Right? Basically, you're seeing a 9% discount at the very end of it. The biggest discount one we saw over there was like 45%.
Okay.
Single property.
And we can assume that was a wreck or something.
What's that?
We can assume that was a wreck or.
Oh, wait. Wise just said something to me. Oh, this is going to be great. He says, that's why you buy REOs, foreclosures, FSBOs, etc.
Uh-oh.
So in our marketplace, REOs are selling for above asking price. They are not selling at discounts. So REOs and foreclosures, You can go to the foreclosure, the trustee sale here, and try to buy stuff at the trustee sale. And occasionally you can get a deal, just like you can occasionally get a deal in the MLS. But we are not seeing deals at a trustee sale. We are not seeing REOs be deals. We're seeing them sell for retail or above asking price. In fact, I have this great chart where I show you the discount from list price for REOs and the discount for list price for everything else. And REOs are worse. Yep. And as far as for sale by owners go, sure, if you can find a for sale by owner and get a discount, I agree with you. You probably can get a little bit better of a discount for sale by owner. However, they're a very small percentage of our transactions. So what I did, and it wasn't very recently, Wise, but I went into our local public record database and I pulled out all of the sold transactions and I counted how many sold transactions there were, and I counted how many sold transactions there were inside the MLS, and I compared the number of sold transactions in public records to the number sold in the MLS, and the MLS was 97%. So only 3% of the transactions were for sale by owners. And then because I didn't believe the numbers at first, I called around to several title companies that I work with, and I said to them, hey, so how many for sale by owner transactions do you have come through your office that are basically outside the MLS where there's no agent involved and you're doing that? And they all told me, probably about, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 25. And so the numbers line up. It is not a lot. So, but you can get them for sale by owners. You totally can. Although, what else I've seen too? I've seen a lot of for sale by owners that are significantly overpriced.
I can believe that.
Where they're asking for more than what they probably should be asking for. And that's why they're sitting on the market for 6 months here. Yep. Yeah. And Y says you have to look at lots to get a deal that works. No doubt about it. In our market, he basically says 20 to 30. In our market, it's a lot more than that. But I rarely even pay 50% to county tax assessor's office record. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but if you're saying you pay 50 cents of tax assessed value, sure. In your market, that you can do that. Our market, you cannot. But what I'm trying to point out to people, if you're in a market where it's normal to get discounts, sure, get a discount. If you're in a market like this, the model still works even in a crazy, extreme, have to bid above asking price market to do this. That's one of the great things about Nomad. You do not need to buy at huge discounts. In fact, in a lot of cases, you should not be, because the properties you're getting at discounts are the ones that are distressed for a reason. It's not just distressed motivation from the seller. A lot of times it's the property or the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'd be curious, Wise, if you're buying owner-occ or properties that are move-in ready, because under the Nomad model, you're only purchasing properties that are move-in ready.
Yep, not fixer-uppers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I remember, James, there's a lot of those, and maybe Wise can comment on this, there's a lot of those concrete block houses in working class neighborhoods in Jacksonville.
Sure.
That I could see actually how they could maybe be my style of move-in ready, but not your style of move-in ready, since you and I have very different, no, it's just reality, right?
I agree.
Empty, not move-in. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. In the 2.5 years that I've been here in the Kitsap Peninsula of Washington State, I have seen a complete 180-degree change in the market. When I got here, it was a buyer's market. Okay. And there were HomePath and USDA properties available left and right.
Mm-hmm.
The foreclosure inventory is almost non-existent anymore. There's only literally like 2 or 3 HomePath listings in the greater area. Last time I checked a month ago, the inventory is just bought up. A lot of the houses that, when you just drive around getting to know an area and you see the blighted areas, like the house that is fallen over and overgrown with weeds and all that, all those houses that I remember seeing in that condition have been bulldozed and rebuilt from scratch into nice houses. So they're new construction, and home prices last year surged 30% here. And average time, our not days on market, but our what do you call it? Your amount of inventory you have, we're down to 1.5 months compared to it used to be almost a year when I first moved here. And that change has happened in 2.5 years, which to me is insane.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Starting to see what's happened already in your neck of the woods, happening in my neck of the woods. And I'm afraid of being unable to, buy my target level of 4 or 5 houses before I get squeezed out.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got for you. A little shorter presentation tonight, but it's a presentation I probably will not do again because it's an unusual topic. It's instructive, but not instructive in the way that my intention for Nomad content is.
You know what? I might argue with you on that, James.
Yeah.
I think it's instructive for people that come from the creative real estate investing world, or they've bought the products from the late night infomercials. They spend too much time reading biggerpockets.com, and they have this concept, right? I actually think that this is instructive for people to help them break out of that mental thing about seeking a discount. I think it's instructive from that perspective. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I think a lot of people argue, you always buy at a discount. You always need to get a discount. And that's a different strategy. That's not the Nomad strategy. The Nomad strategy is a long-term buy and hold, and you're trying to minimize money out of pocket. It is not a fixer-upper.
You've even modeled this, man, you talked about this, I want to say 3 or 4 presentations ago, where you talked about buying slightly above market price, and you're still fine over the 40-year haul.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for attending, and thank you all for coming on and asking questions and participating. Appreciate that. Thanks, Jason, for joining us. I'm going to end the video, and I'll try to post this up here later tonight after I grab myself dinner. Jason, do you need to talk to me about anything?
Yes.
Okay. So let's, why don't you give me a call on the phone when you're done?
Okay.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you all for coming. You're very welcome. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.